Okay? There was a law before the law of Moses, which is the law of Hammurabi. Okay? That's the law that we're going by right here now in the Scriptures. Okay? When Laban talks about the law and the law of his land, all this talk about the law of righteousness or the law of Hammurabi. Okay? We know that that law existed. I was going to try to print some of that out for you so you can see it was a whole lot like the law of Moses. The law of Moses agreed with it in many, many ways. Somehow they had revelation. All mankind has had revelation, okay? The American Indians over here had revelation. God dealt with them. The South Americans, the Africans, all of these, according to Romans, the first chapter, there is a revelation that's written in the creation, okay? And all of them know right from wrong, don't they? We know adultery is adultery. We know stealing your wife is wrong. We know stealing your husband is wrong. We know killing is wrong. All of these things. And when Laban says that we have a law, okay, later on when he's dealing with Jacob, we have a law. That's the law of Hammurabi. Okay. There was a law of Hammurabi also. Remember that was one between the Babylonian, the Babylonian, I can't even think of the group now. Medes and the Persians. Medes and the Persians. All right? But, and then there's the Scriptures, like you were talking about in the book of Enoch. The oldest versions of the Old Testament we have are not in Hebrew. Unless since they discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls, some of those, we don't know how old those texts were. They're, what are some of the texts that they quote from now? What's the text that you have? Huh? Well, no, I mean the Hebrew text. We talk about the Masoretic text. Okay, the Masoretic text. So my notes out here. The oldest text that was ever known before the Dead Sea Scrolls was the Aleppo text. The Aleppo text in Hebrew, which was written in 930 A.D. Now, that's a whole long time beside this side of the Old Testament. But the New Testament's older than that. Okay? And we have New Testament scriptures that go back to the first century. Back to the first century, not 1000 A.D. Let's turn that thing down just a little bit. It's echoing.
Yeah.
Okay, is that on? Did you turn it up, Harry? Oh, you did. Is that? Can you hear me talking back there right now? Yeah. Well, it was just ringing just a little bit. I thought that maybe it was a little bit high. The Aleppo text goes back 930 A.D. It was kept in Syria, and it was destroyed, I believe, in the 1950 or something like that. It was destroyed. They don't know what happened to it. They had a revolution over there in Syria, and the oldest Hebrew text in the world was destroyed. Okay? But that's 930 A.D. Now, a Masoretic text, if you go back to Jerusalem, okay, they said that they had a text always in the temple. That was a bona fide, certified copy of the Hebrew, the whole Hebrew Old Testament, and they checked all manuscripts by that. Now, later on, the Pharisees, about 1,000, 1,200, 1,300 A.D., you know, there are Pharisees today, you know that, don't you? Okay? There are Sadducees today. Are you aware of that? The Pharisees are the super Orthodox Jews, okay? And the Sadducees are the atheist Jews. They're the ones that believe, you know, they're God's people, sure, all that kind of stuff. They believe in the law as kind of like the law of Hammurabi. Okay? The law was given, they believe that man developed that law, and we just say God did it. There's no such thing as God, really, and there's no such thing as spirits or angels. That's atheism, basically, is what it is. Okay? Well, if you go all the way back when Israel was scattered, after Jesus was on the earth. Now, we know that when Jesus was speaking and talking, that he was probably speaking most of the time in Greek. You know, we have the movie The Passion, and it has him speaking in Aramaic. Well, the Jews used Aramaic, yes, they did. And in the New Testament, when they were speaking Aramaic, it quotes it in Aramaic. Simple as that. All right? When they were speaking in Greek, it just goes along with it. Okay? The Hebrew, when it speaks Hebrew, it will quote Hebrew. As simple as that. Now, if you go back to Tiberias, you know where Tiberias was? How many of you saw the archaeological studies I did on Sunday morning? Okay, some of you did. All right. I did them not too long ago. Tiberias was a center of Jewish studies. The Jerusalem commentary was supposed to have been written in Tiberias. The Roman Empire would not allow, if you want to write these things down, you can. The Roman Empire would not allow the Jews to ever go into the city of Jerusalem. Jesus stood up there on the Mount of Olives looking over there at Jerusalem, saying, "Oh, Jerusalem, how many times I would have called you as a hen does her baby chickens, but you would not come." We studied in the 11th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew today. We find out that they rejected the gospel. Over and over and over again, they rejected the kingdom. They were going to be scattered because of their hard-headedness. They're scattered today because of their wicked hearts. Still. And they will be wicked until they're born in the middle of the tribulation period. That's when they're going to be 2/3 out of 3 of them will be killed, and then 1/3 of the Jews will be left. But he's going to have to kill 2 out of 3 to get their attention. Of course, 5 out of every 6 Gentiles are going to be killed too during that period of time. Well, they went down into Tiberias. And there were different schools in Tiberias. And they argued about the Hebrew Bible. But the Hebrew Bible, like the uncials in the New Testament, uncials, what do uncials mean? Uncials. Remember when I brought my Greek Bible that was all run together, no spaces in between, all the words were run together? See, the Hebrew Bible was written that way too. Did you know that? The Hebrew Bible was written like that, without any vowels and points. No vowels. It was not pointed at all. Okay? Then about 1000 A.D., they started arguing over how they might say the Hebrew Bible, how they might speak it, because it hadn't been speaking. Okay? Now you can hear all of the stories from the Hebrews and the Jewish people today, how they kept their language all these years, but we're talking about flat historical facts right now. We're not talking about what they wish it was. This is the way it was. Okay? This is just the way it was. Then they started arguing about the different pronunciations of the words. Well, when they come to the name Jehovah, or this word right here, they didn't pronounce it. They would say what? Adonai. Okay, something like that. Adonai. It's a salt delta, or salt vowel in there. Adonai. And then another one would say Adonai. And they argued over how they were going to point the Hebrew. And so they started putting in little dashes and dots. And those dashes and dots are what we call the Hebrew vowels. They never used the Hebrew vowels until after 1000 AD. Now, some of the Hebrew Jewish people that, they were doing that back in 200 and 300 AD. That's a little bit too far this way, too, isn't it? To really know how to say the Old Testament words, isn't it? Period. Well, they had the Aleppo text, which was destroyed. The next one is the see if I can find can't remember.
How do you spell Aleppo?
A-L-E-P-P-O. A-L-E-P-P-O. There was the Leningrad Codex. I couldn't think of it. See, we also have the Codex Alexandrius. Okay, they both came, from basically Russia. The Leningrad Old Testament that we have today, the Leningrad Codex, is the oldest complete Hebrew Bible we have. I believe in 1008 A.D. I didn't say 1008 B.C., all right? Now, they can argue about the Hebrew Scriptures all they want to, and they'll say, oh, we kept it, we kept our language, all this kind of stuff. During Jesus' time, speaking Hebrew was considered profane, blasphemy, speaking biblical Hebrew. Probably modern Hebrew is closer to biblical Hebrew than it ever has in the history of the Jewish people. Okay? Because they're really trying. But that happened between 14 and 15 and 1600. The Pharisees said, we're going to count every word now. This is where all this comes. You hear this all in a lot of the different things. But the Pharisees said, we're going to count every word and every letter. And every manuscript is going to have to be counted and copied against another manuscript. And since, 12, 13, 1400 A.D., they have been very tenacious, the Pharisees have, how they copied the Hebrew Bible. But if you go back even to the Qumran caves, you're going to find great differences in the Hebrew text. They were copying from 2 or 3 different Hebrew texts, I believe. Now tonight, I just give you a short history of the Hebrew Bible. That's just a little splattering of it, okay? Do you have any questions about it? No? Yes?
Okay, you're saying that the Eliazer text was destroyed last century?
It was destroyed probably around 1950, I believe. I think it was 1950 when they had a revolution over there in Syria, and it was kept in Syria in a synagogue in Syria, and it was basically they had a revolution there. Pieces of the Aleppo Codex are scattered all over, but they cannot put it back together. They don't know where it is. But it was a complete Bible. But still, that was in 930 A.D. The Leningrad Codex is 1008, I believe. That's the oldest Hebrew Bible in the world. Except when they found Dead Sea Scrolls. And this goes back, some of those. One of the mitzvahs, one of the baptismal fonts there, the baptism, goes back to over 700 B.C. So there were people there. How long that they occupied those Qumran areas and how old some of those manuscripts were and the people there that studied the Bible, it seems like it was always an area for the study of God's Word. The Qumranians, the Essenes, were 2 different people, they say. There might have been 3 or 4 occupations of the same type of people. All right? We studied the Hebrew Bible because Hebrew is very important. You know that. I tried to teach that. When you study the Hebrew Bible, I copy or I give you the Greek equivalent very often. So, for one thing, I want you to learn both of the languages a little bit. The Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, which was done in what year? Do you remember that? This goes way back yonder. 300 B.C. Some people will say 285 to 300. Well, I'll just say 300 B.C. and slop it together, okay? Say 300 B.C., around 300 B.C. That's 300 years before the Christian era, okay? That's real old. That's real old. Now, we don't have a Hebrew manuscript that old, for sure. The Dead Sea Scrolls are probably as old or older, but we can't say that for sure. Okay? But as people compare the Dead Sea Scrolls to the Septuagint, the Masoretic text is more close to it than sometimes the Septuagint is. The Septuagint was translated, we know, intentionally different because they had a different idea. We have people that believe in the young earth theory. How many of you have heard of that? All right? That's just good and fine, except that's not what the Bible teaches. The Bible doesn't teach we have a young earth. God didn't create the earth 6,000 years ago. When He created the earth was way back in eons past. We don't know how long. Genesis says, bara sheep bara. Way back there. And then the earth became destroyed, and it became formless and void. If you read the Jewish Publication Society, it said God created it that way. We know that God didn't create the earth formless and void. Okay? Like the Bible says, He created it with perfect and purpose. And it says in the first Genesis, the first verse, chapter 1 and verse 1, that it was finished. It was completed, perfect tense. And then she became formless and void. We need to study Hebrew and Greek so we can cut through all the baloney of the modern theologians and even some of the older theologians. Okay? The young earth theory would be a real good thing. I mean, we could sit down and I like what old Gene Scott used to say. Christians don't have to be blithering idiots to become Christians. When my cousins came out here from Paul's Valley, the one that wrote the book, Shadow of an Indian Star, they came the first, well, they took Hebrew, and it was on the second chapter. I mean, the second class in the book of Genesis that I ever did. And I went through some of what I just said tonight with them, and that the earth was created, and then the earth became formless and void. And however long that was between those two periods of time, we do not know. It might have been millions of years or a day. We don't know. But there's difference. Cindy Hall is a scientist. She always had problems. She believes in God and everything else, but she just couldn't line up the Bible with what she sees with evidence on the earth. There was a lot of difference. Well, when you look at the Bible and you really let this talk to you from the original languages, it will straighten out a lot of man's theology. You will get your theology straightened out. All right. Well, that's why we study Hebrew, because it's very important. That's the language that we're probably going to speak in eternity for one thing. I used to ask Brother Hubbard, what language do you think we'll speak in heaven? He said, probably Hebrew. So you better get used to it. 24:39 is where we are. I hope you got something out of that. Did you get something out of that? That gives you a little bit of... Because we have so much baloney going on today. We got so much propaganda by different angles. And just go... And I said, how many of you ever read the history of the Hebrew text? Nobody looks it up. You go, all of these... I know the Jews won't believe it. They don't want to believe it because that's not what they want to believe. Okay? You don't have to shut your mind down when you become a Christian. Think. Study science. Study medicine. It's never going to really go contrary to your belief, to tell you the truth, if you study it correctly. The Hebrew and Greek will do one thing for you. It will build your faith. It will not tear it down. What is the first word here? Does anybody know how to say that? Brother Roger, I bet you can say that, can't you?
Wyomer.
Wyomer. All right, Wyomer. And then the next one, that's the easy one. El. Adonai. And what's the next one? Ulay. All right. Lo. Telek. Ha'isha. Achareh. All right. Now, remember, the law of Hammurabi. That's what we're dealing here with so many times. We did not have the law of Moses here. The law of Hammurabi. And I think it spells something like this. Something like that. It might even have two B's in it. Place I even had it written down. It's Khammau. Marubi. Hammurabi. Oh, Hammurabi. And I said, now where did the N come from? That law on the front of it, that's N. All right, that little conjunction. In Greek, you have a conjunction. It's either going to be like that or like that. Okay? And even kind of like that sometimes. But in Hebrew, all we have to have is that. There's your N. It's one. Hebrew is like shorthand. in so many ways. Greek is like longhand, because I'll tell you what, well, and then translate either one of these languages in English, you have to write a book on one sentence sometimes, or one verse. And I said, first person construct singular, called while consecutive and perfect, and I said and kept on saying unto my master, perhaps, perhaps not will she go, the woman, after me. All right? Now let me show you a couple of other things here since I've got them here. If you're going to study Hebrew, now you don't have to study Hebrew at all to take this class. You can just forget about the Hebrew altogether and just study the Bible, all right? Like Cindy, that's very important, isn't it? All right, you can put it. But if you want to study Hebrew, you need two things, two tools. You need a Hebrew Bible, which you have an interlinear here. All right, so you have that. But if you want to go study other texts, it would be a good thing for you to get a Hebrew Bible. Someplace, oh, there it is. This is a, Brother Randall, this is what you have, isn't it? This Hebrew Readers. Okay. It is probably one of the best printed texts. You can read Hebrew better with that one than you can a lot of them. I have an old Green's interlinear that is good, if not better than this one. But only one of them. Most Hebrew texts are very sorry. And anyway, this is an analytical Hebrew and Chaldee lexicon. It's by Davidson. It's very good. Now, I have a stack of Hebrew lexicons. This is an analytical Hebrew lexicon. It will tell you what part of speech and what verb it is. All of that's in here. And as you go in there, if you will see a page number and then Davidson's or D-A-V on the back of it, I'm quoting from this book. Okay? Brown, Driver, and Briggs. Now, these books are available all over the place. Okay? And here's Brown, Driver, and Briggs. Okay? This is the book that I'm quoting. The first number that we have down there, underneath the word, that's the book that you will look it up in usually. This is Brown, Driver, and Briggs. I'm going to let you look at a couple of words today. Okay? So be ready, Cindy. You're the closest one to me, Cindy. Matter of fact, I'm going to just give it here to you. This gets you ready for all of the third degree. All right? You're not going to run, are you? Okay. But it's on somebody else's desk, huh? All right. Perhaps she will not go, she will not walk. All right? Third person feminine singular, Kyle imperfect. She won't keep on walking, the woman, after me. All right? Perhaps she won't come, and perhaps she won't follow, okay? And now, go over to 2440. And what is that word there? Wyomer. Wyomer. Elay. And then we have the word Jehovah there, which the Jews will call Adonai. We say Hadavar or Hashem. All right? And then Asher. Asher. All right. Page 81, Cindy. Page 81 through 4 is Asher. We have, oh, that one's normal. That's in English. Page 81. Page 81. Now these words, 81 through 4. Do I have anything written around there? What's today? There's a guy in the Bible named Asher. All right. There we go. Look at what you can do now. Happy. Asher means happy. Okay? Asher means happy. Now the name Asher, but here it means, it's a kind of a relative pronoun right here. So we've got, it means whom, or who, or she, or whatever sometimes. But it really, Asher, the word Asher means happy. So you can write happy down. Okay? And you can learn to go to the Hebrew lexicon and you can look these words up. Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can go look up and find out what these words mean. All right? Asher and Hit-ha-lakti. Lefana. Yishla. All right? And Malako. Itak. We hits Leah, Dar Keki Keka, Wila Kata, Ish Shah, Livne, Mim Mishpati, Ulibeth, Oz. Oh no, that's it. I thought it went over here to section B, but it does not. Genesis 24 and verse 7 and 5, 22 and 24, 17 and 1, Exodus 30 or 23 and 20 are all cross references to this. And he said and kept on saying, all right, and he said and kept on saying, and Cindy, do you have your, okay, you've got that Bible out there, you've got it figured out, okay? And who has the Amplified? You got the Amplified, Chris? All right, you got it, okay? We'll look at the different one. And he said and kept on saying unto me, Jehovah, all right, whom I walk, first person concept, Hithel, perfect, before his face. The word Pene there, look at that word 817 now. In that little book right there, in 817, you're going to find out all of this means face. It'll come, Pene is face. The face of the waters, the face of the earth, the face of the clouds, whatever. They have a face. Something between you and them, you will see the face of the storm. All right? Or the face of Cindy, or Chris, or whoever, Roger. You see their face. When you look at them, you see their front or their face, Pene. All right? Before his face, that he might keep on sending Malakah. Malakah. The angel, page 521. Angel means what? Messenger. All right? In Greek, what is it? Angel is real English. It's just like English, isn't it? Angelos. All right, angelos. With you, and he may prosper. He may cause to prosper. Third person masculine, singular, hifal, wow, consecutive, perfect. All right? Your way, darkika. And you take, we lakata, and you take what? Isha. What does Isha mean? Isha. Out of man. Woman, literally in English, means out man. Out of man. All right? For son, livne. All right? For the son. And son means what? According to a pattern. When you have a son, it's according to a pattern. You can see the pattern coming down from ages. They will have different eye colors. I used to, when I was young, I was raised basically in the Indian village. All my family were Indians. They came out here to California. My grandfather and grandmother bought an acre of ground over east of Bakersfield out there by Edison. They bought this ground out here, and all the other Indians moved in there and put shacks and trailers and everything else on there until they could go out and got jobs and all that stuff. Well, I looked at all these Indians, and every Indian in my family, all the Chickasaws, had gray eyes. Now, Indians normally have brown eyes, don't they? And I looked at that and said, where in the world did all of these Indians, these Chickasaw Indians, get these gray eyes? I couldn't figure that out. All of my life, I figured that out, and then when I called and talked to my cousins back in Oklahoma that wrote the book, I said, where in the world does those Chickasaw Indians get those gray eyes? And they laughed. They said, nobody would have known that. Because Sam Paul he was a dark Indian boy, but he had gray blue eyes. And his father was a Scotsman, and he had those gray eyes, and they came down. I said, every one of his daughter's family had gray eyes, and she married another Indian. Those Scottish traits are extremely strong. And they came down through generations according to a pattern. According to a pattern. We see that pattern. A girl always says, look, doesn't he look like his daddy? They always say that, don't they? So they make sure that this is his daddy. The Indian used to say, you always know who the mama is, but you're not quite sure who the daddy is. You know, that's the story. All right. Take the wife for my son according to my patterns. All right. From my mishpati. Mishpata is what it is. All right. That means they're all from the same semen is what it literally means. They're all from the same father. In the Latin term is paterfamilia. And the Greek term is patria. All right. Patria. It's the family. According to the family, the father of the family are all from the same father. And we know that Sarah and Abraham were some from the same father. Patria, or mishpata. You midbet. And from house. Look at the and. See that? Right on the front of this we have a conjunction and a preposition, don't we? You midbet. Beth, or bet, is house. All right? You, on the front of that, it's a vowel, that's what it is. And it means and then ma'am is from. And I have 253 because and is, you find and up on page 253, that vowel. And then 581, you will find the preposition ma'am, which means from. And then house is on page 108. All right? Now let's read that. Chris, do you have that in the Amplified Bible there? And Cindy, are you ready with that one over there too? We're going to look at both of them. Read the last two verses there, Chris.
40?
39 and 40. 39 and 40.
And I said to my master, but suppose the woman will not follow me? And he said to me, the Lord, in whose presence I walk habitually, will send his angel with you and prosper your way. And you will take a wife for my son from my kindred and from my father's house.
All right. Now, Cindy, what do you have down there? What does that say in the Amplified Bible is a whole, not the Amplified, but the Living Bible is a whole lot like the Jewish Publication Society, just in case you didn't know it. Go ahead there, Cindy.
But suppose I can't find a girl who will come, I asked him. She will, he told me, for my Lord, in whose presence I have walked, will send his angel with you and make your mission successful. Yes, find a girl from among your relatives from my brother's family.
All right, you just go over there and do that, and God's going to open the door for you. The one whom I serve. 24:41 now. 24:41. Oz, Tinake, Mi Alati, Ki, Tabo, El, Mispati, Weim, Lo, Yetanu, Lak, Wahayita, Naki, Mi-alilati. All right. Then, verse 20, or number chapter, page number 23, if you wanted to look that up. I'm not going to have you go do that one because this isn't quite as important as some of the words. I just want you to know that you can go look these up and see for yourself. You are released. You are set free. Second person masculine singular, Niphael imperfect. You are set free and you keep on being set free from my oath. Page 46 now. Orke in Greek. What does the oath mean? When you make an oath, what do you do? What? It's a contract, but what do you do? Fence yourself in. Thank you, young lady. You've got a good memory. Fence yourself in. When you make an oath, you fence yourself in to do a certain thing. You are confined to do that thing. All right? And then key is when. Page 473. And you come and keep on coming unto my family. All right? Unto my family. Remember that? Paterfamilia, patria. Page 1046 if you want to look it up. By the way, it will be different 1046 in that Brown, Driver, and Briggs. Now, if you go try to look this word up with a analytical lexicon, you're going to have a lot of trouble finding this word because it goes around corners. Okay? So I cut the corners for you and put it on page 1046. And if not, a little adverb of negation, lo, okay? They may give and keep on giving to you. You are, or you shall become, is what it literally means. You shall become free from my oath. Mi Allah. Mi Allah ki. You will be free and set free from my oath. All right. 2442. 2442. Anyone say that one? Wa'avo. All right. Hayom. El. Ha'ayin. All right. Wa'omer. And then we have a word that's mysterious. Mysterion. This Hashem. Havavar. Elohi. Adonai. Avraham. Im. Yishka. Na. Mat. Liach. Darki. Asher. Anoki. Kolek. Aliha. By the way, I forgot to tell you a little something. Some of the Hebrew grammars that you have go way back beyond before the time that the Hebrews were even playing with the language. The difference in pronunciations and everything go way, way, way back before they were fighting with it. Because people in church history wrote a lot of these grammars. You can find them in different parts of church history. And I just throw that one in for a little bit extra. Their dogmatism today is more personal belief than it is historical. All right, remember that. And I think I taught a class, maybe it was last Wednesday night or maybe it was Sunday morning, the difference between truth and dogma. Truth is practice. A lot of times when we say things enough time, and even when people are brainwashed, okay? When people are brainwashed, somebody keeps telling you something that may not be the truth, but he tells you over and over and over and over and over again, and then pretty soon when you think about it, you will think the untruth instead of reality. All right? That's what we call brainwashing. And if you keep saying something over and over enough, maybe people will believe it. The Jehovah's Witnesses are brainwashed. Herbert Armstrong's people were brainwashed. The Mormons are brainwashed. They start out from very little children teaching them these things. All right?
So what is the difference between truth and dogma?
Truth is the Bible.
Okay.
We go back, as I said earlier in the class today, find out what the Bible says. And then marry your mind to truth. If you're going to believe something, have scriptural background for it. Not just because the pastor says it or somebody says this or something you read in one book. For instance, how many of you have been students in history? Could you read one book and become a student or a understanding? Could you be knowledgeable in history if you read one history book?
Too much bias.
It's written, you better find out who wrote the history book first. If you want to study history of America, find out what the British had to say about it, or Mexico, or the Russians, or somebody like that, and read American history. But it might be better if you read these other histories first, and then you might find out what really happened. Okay? Math. Math is a science, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? It's just math. It's math. Isn't it? Math is math. You just math. Isn't that beautiful? You don't have to go guess about things. Math is an exact thing. That's beautiful. How about the speed of light? Is that a standard? How fast is the speed of light? 186,000 feet per second. Do you know that there's some schools now don't think that the speed of light is constant? Believe it or not. Theories. In church history, as I taught church history, you'll find out that Baptists have been wrong sometimes because they went too far. Okay? Some of the things we practice, we went too far in the past about sometimes. The Catholic Church thrives and stands upon dogma only. They have no scripture. They don't care anything about the Bible. They would not allow their people to even study the Bible. They couldn't own a Bible. They couldn't read the Bible. Okay? That's the only way they could keep them Catholics. But they had to believe their dogmas. Truth is from the Bible. From the original languages, we have truth. We have translations. We have translations of what this person says the Bible is, or what that person says the Bible is. That's why we read different translations. We look at this, okay? But when you go to the standard, when we go to Greek and Hebrew, well, you've got it, don't you, Brother Don?
I think you'll find, too, that a lot of Catholics will tend to not be afraid to say they think the Bible's wrong.
Yeah.
And I've seen
because they have an apostle.
Yeah.
Their Pope can tell you what's right and wrong today. He's what we call continuous revelation. Okay? Let's go on. And I came in the day unto a spring or a fountain. This means a flowing fountain. Remember? Ha-ya-im. Okay? That's a flowing fountain. And I said, Jehovah God, my master, Abraham, if you are, I pray or I please or I beg you, about to prosper my way, which I am about to be going upon you. All right? Now he's praying to God, the God of Abraham, and he said, I want you to prosper my way. All right? Please prosper my way. 43. Hine, Anoki, Nitzav, all, and Hamayim, Hayaha, we Haya, Ha'alma, Hayotzet, Lisha, we Amarti, Eliha, Hashkini, Na, Miat, Maim, Mikadek. And behold, pay attention, I, standing at the flowing spring, the waters, Ha-Maim, the waters, and became. The young woman is what and literally, that word there is not really the word for virgin, okay? Now, it can mean virgin, but what it means here is this woman is mature. She's a woman. She's a girl of marriageable age. She's sexually mature, okay? Now, this word here is not Bethula. Bethula means I know that she's been in the house. She's a certified virgin. She's been kept in the house. She's been guarded, okay? The word in Greek is parthenos, okay? And the word here, this other word would be gyne, okay? We got a word gynecologist. Gynecologist is a woman doctor, all right? Word gyne. And this woman, she going out, feminine singular towel participle, she going out to draw, all right, to draw. And I said unto her, let me drink, all right? Please let me drink, I pray, or please, little, miat, maim, waters. Waters, by the way, is plural. is more than one drop, always. A drop of water is a drop of water, but waters is plural. Okay? From your bucket or your pitcher. All right, from your bucket or your pitcher. Now, Cindy, what do we have there? Would you read the Living Bible there in 24, 42, and 43?
Well, this afternoon when I came to the spring, I prayed this prayer. O Jehovah, the God of my master Abraham, if you are planning to make my mission a success, please guide me in this way. Here I am standing beside this spring. I will say to some girl who comes out to draw water, please give me a drink of water.
All right, some girl. All right, he didn't specify then. It's some girl. Period. Just a girl. All right, a female. All right. Now we know that some of the rabbis said that when this girl came out, what was her name? What's the girl? Huh? Rebecca. When Rebecca came out there, Rebecca, if you want to say that, when she came out there, some of the rabbis said she was 3 years old. Now we know she wasn't 3 years old, because she was a little older. And what does the word alma mean? That means that she was sexually mature. She was at least 10 to 13 years old, probably. All right? She was not a baby. She is a woman, and they married. One of my friends, his grandmother married his grandfather. He was 40, and she was 12 when they got married. And that was not unusual back in the 1800s. My great-great-great-grandfather, the last time he got married, he married a girl. He was 66 years old and she was 14. That was not unusual. Over in Europe, I had a friend that went over there. He made his fortune in America, and then he went back to Ireland and got himself a... Thank you. He went back to Ireland and married himself a little 15-year-old Irish bride, and he was about 50. That was common practice. A man didn't marry, the European men didn't marry until they had made their way and they had completely, this is what they did in what they called the old country. All right? They didn't get married until they had a home and a sound job. That's just the way they did things back then. All right, 24:44 now. We'ah Merah, Ile, Gam, Atah, Shiteh, Wigam, Lek Malika, Yeshav, He, Ha Yeshav, Asher, Ha Kiah, all right, Davar, all right, or Hashem, or Adonai, whatever, Levan, Adonai. And she said unto me also, that word gone there also, you drink, masculine, singular, plural, imperative, you drink. As she gives him a command, you drink. And also, wigam, and also for your grumblers. Okay? That was for one of the things that they used to call a camel was a grumbler. But how many of you have been around camels very much? They make noises all the time. They're rumbling and moaning and groaning all the time. But the basic name for camel is what?
Gamel.
What?
Gamel.
Gamel. But what does it mean? Remember Gamaliel, the man named Gamaliel? What does it mean then? No?
Gift.
Gift. Thank you, young lady. Gift. Camel means gift. And by the way, it's kamelos. Kamelos. And did I have it written down there? And it's written in Greek also? Okay, that's good. Kamelos. They come from one language to the other. And I shall draw and keep on drawing, she the woman whom has designed, has provided, has proved Jehovah for son of my master. For son of my master. Now, this woman is going to keep on drawing water. All right, Cindy, do you have that one? What do we have down here? And also, Chris, I want you to read that one from the Amplified to see the differences. Go ahead, Cindy.
And she will reply, certainly, and I will draw your camels, and I will water your camels too. Let that girl be the one you have selected to be the wife of my master's son.
Okay, so we know that she can't be 3 years old, as some of the rabbis say. We know that many of the girls were very old. Okay? All right, Chris, what do you say there in Amplified?
44.
44.
And if she says to me, you drink, and I will draw water for your camels also, let that same woman be the one whom the Lord has selected and indicated for my master's son.
All right. That's the one that God provided. Let this one be the one that God has marked off. God has a plan for every one of our lives. And God has, I mean, we look in our lives and look back and, boy, sometimes they're all messed up, aren't they? Mine is an absolute tornado. It's like it tore up a path through time. And I look back, and almost everything, not almost everything, everything that ever happened to me in my life did something to me permanent. It does. Everything that happens to you has a permanent effect on you. But as man is a sum total of how you have reacted to all of those things. Did you give up? Do whatever? Did you give up? One little catastrophe in life may set a man off on a tangent for 25 years going in the wrong direction. But it doesn't have to. Because if he's God's person, it can go 25 years, but he's going to come back to the same spot where he was. You can go around the mountain 10 times, or you can just stay on the pathway. Brother, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just thinking that God is the path that He's laid on us is the right way, and then we kind of divert it. We do ourselves.
We try to figure out things ourselves so many times.
Or we're the one that messed up
Yep.
our path.
Mm-hmm. We mess up our path. Sometimes the world helps us mess up our path. It can do that. And sometimes we don't listen very well, to God. Really listen. We need to listen closer. I remember one time one of my friends got up and made an illustration about this man that was a very conscientious person that had a lot of insight into the world. And he said he went up there to his office. And he had his head on the floor listening. And he came in there, so he said, I wanted to make him not feel so bad, so I would put my head down on the floor. And I was looking down, and I was looking him right in his face like that. He said, what do you hear? And he said, nothing. Same thing with me. Nothing. You hear anything either. But we need to listen. We really need to listen to God and take and pattern our lives according to His Word, regardless of what happens to us. Just keep on putting one foot in front of the other, regardless. Period. Young lady, do you have a question? No? Someone? Abe? No?
No, but first, is this silver anointing?
What now?
Anointed. Anointed.
Anointed.
This one you said anointed means
Yes.
selected.
It means picked out. It means elected. It means empowered. Also, it means purposed. And that's this word here, purpose. It has purpose in it. It has design. God has design for our lives. He has a design for us. Every one of us. He has a design for our lives. What are you going to do? Why, 30 years ago, I knew what I was supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be teaching. I've had obstacles. Boy, I'll tell you what, down through these last 30 years, I mean, talk about obstacles. But I just kept on doing it the best I could. Obstacles. Because you know what you're supposed to do. So you just go around the obstacles and you just keep on putting one foot in front of the other. Purpose. God had a purpose. God foreordained and elected this woman to be his Isaac's wife. What was Isaac going to be like? Huh? Think about Isaac for a while. God needed Rebekah to keep Isaac on the straight and narrow. He did. Isaac was a wishy-washy guy. And Isaac was a glutton. Isaac was a glutton. He liked tasty food more than he, didn't he? When he had two sons, they had who? Jacob and Esau. Did God make plainly known to Rebekah who the chosen son was? Yes. Do you think that Isaac might not have known that? Do you think that woman could have gone home in the house with her husband without her telling her husband what happened to her out there underneath the tree? And she's going to be in his ear and she's going to tell him all about it. The lesser will serve the greater. The younger will be the master over the older. And Jehovah told her that, didn't he?
Yeah.
This is direct revelation from God. She said, guess what Jehovah told me today? And then what did the old man do? Even after Esau sold his birthright. Because God knew he would be a gluttonous man. A glutton. He was hungry and he didn't care anything about his future. He wanted to eat right now. And he said, I'll give you my birthright to Jacob. You have it. I don't need it. It don't mean nothing to me. The Bible says God said that he hated his birthright. He despised God. He blasphemed God by selling his birthright. All it did was show to Isaac and Rebekah exactly the revelation that God had given to her before. And so when Isaac got old, he still wanted to make Esau his heir. And God had to blind him. Now, he was blind for a reason. Isaac was blind for a reason. Because if he hadn't been blind, he would have conferred that birthright upon Esau. And Rebekah heard Esau, or not Esau, but she heard Isaac telling Esau, go out there and get me some tasty food that I love. Gluttony. Okay. And I will give you the blessing that I'm supposed to give to Jacob. She heard him. He didn't know she was there because he couldn't see. All right? And so she said, well, I remember what Jehovah said, so now, let's go and do this. And I mean, a lot of times you hear the lying and the going on. Guess who was in the wrong here? Why did God pick out this woman right here? Why did he foreordain? Because he knew she would be a woman of principles. She stuck by what her revelation was, didn't she? Did Isaac? No. So she went and she even prepared her son to stink like a goat. Because Esau smelled like a goat. You smell like my son, but you sound like Jacob. And then he gave him all the blessing, and he just conferred it upon him, and he thought if he hadn't been blind, he wouldn't have done it. Who did God want to be blessed? Jacob. Simple as that. So God did pick this woman out. Let's go on one more verse and we'll turn you loose on the world. Are we on 24:45? Ani, Harim, Akale, Li Davar, El, Levi, Wehene, Rivka, Yokset, Wekada, Al, Shikma, Watared, Ha'aina, Watishah, Waomer, Ileha, Hashkini, no. Marilyn, you're leading us out here. You're doing really good. You were foreordained and predestined to be the preacher's wife. Even bring me a drink of water and put up with me. I not yet had finished. First person construct PL is perfect. Had finished to speak unto my heart. Now he was praying in his heart, hadn't he? He was praying in his heart. And behold, Rebecca. 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 What does Rebecca mean? Remember what it means? What does Rebecca mean? This is, it's on page 918. You can look all of that up, and sometimes they even give other cross references. Rebecca means hog-tied.
What is it?
Hog-tied.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, hog-tied. It means it means a halter or a bridle or a lead rope. It means to tie up a calf in a stall. It means to lead someone around with a halter. And she was so pretty that her beauty just captivated everyone. All right, Rebecca. All right, that's what it means. She was a pretty woman, and we find out that Rachel probably took after her also, didn't he? And going out, feminine singular, cowl participle, and going out, and her jar upon her shoulder. Okay, shikmah, upon her shoulder. It wasn't upon her head, was it? They usually put it upon their women. We see in the Middle East and in Africa and everything, they carry their bundles on their head. It wasn't on her rosh, but it's on her shikmah, on her shoulder. But they read, and she went down to the well, ha-yana, to the well, and she kept on drawing, and I said unto her, let me drink, please. Let me drink, please. All right. Let's read that one time. Chris, are you over there? And I'm going to turn you loose on the world. Let's read that from...
And before I had finished praying in my heart, behold, Rebekah came out with her water jar on her shoulders, and she went down to the well and drew water. And I said to her, I pray you, let me have a drink.
All right. I beg you, please let me have a drink. And now next week we're going to see the rest of the story. That was previews of coming attractions, all right? Previews of coming attractions. That's probably before all of your time. All right. Thank you for your attention today. We went from verse 39 to 46. We're moving along pretty good. Pretty good. And I'm on Wednesday night. I'm doing the book of Romans. And we're going to finish the book of Romans pretty soon, and we'll get into 1 Corinthians, which is going to be quite a revelation on the modern world of Christendom. Because every kind of mistake that can be made, that church made it, and the Apostle Paul, by inspiration, corrected things. All right? All right, let's have a word of prayer, and let's go out and do something eternal. Brother Harry, would you lead us in prayer, please, brother?
Heavenly Father, we just come once again to thank you, Father, for this time that we had to study your word, Father God. We just pray, Father, that we just take it in, and not only do we just hear it, Father, that we place it in our hearts and we live your word, Father God. And as we go out throughout the week, Father, we just pray that you will just place someone in our path, Father, that we can share the gospel with, Father God. And we just thank you so much for Pastor Jim and Marilyn, Father, as they always prepare for the class. And thank you for the clarity of his teaching, Father God. And we just say thank you so much for all that you've done. And we just pray, Father, that you will bring us back here next week, Father, and just watch over us throughout the week. And we will know blessings. That's in Son Jesus' name. Amen.